Good Wednesday evening to you. Hope you are having a great day. Thanks for joining More Sports and Les Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. We're going to talk plenty of Browns. We will have the D-Man on. We'll talk some Chiefs with Chiefs beat reporter from Chiefs Digest, Matt Derrick. But we begin tonight with some breaking news. The Cavaliers involved in a trade that included James Harden going to the Nets. Here's the deal. It's a lot of guys involved in this one. The Cavs get Jared Allen, a center, and Taurean Prince, a small forward. They give up Dante Exum and a pick as well, a first-round pick that they had gotten from Milwaukee. To make sense of this, let's welcome in Sam Amico. Sam is with 48minutes.com, covers all things Cavs, NBA-related. Sam, appreciate the time. Tell us about this deal. How do you think the Cavs ended up? How did they end up with what they got?
It was a little surprising at the beginning because, we heard about, at the start of the day, all we heard about was James Harden wanted to be traded, and the Nets and the 76ers were his preferred destinations. And either one of those teams needed a third team to kind of push that trade through. And I'd heard a little bit, probably the last couple of weeks, that the Cavs may be one of those teams that would help push the deal, and that's what they did. But they obviously got the big name in this for Cleveland is obviously Jared Allen from the Nets, who's a nice young center, a lot of athleticism, only 22 years old, really a long-term starter at the position. So, Taurean Prince is one of those guys who's a veteran wing player who could help you off the bench. But the big name here for the Cavs is Jared Allen, and makes it real interesting on what they might do with Andre Drummond and JaVale McGee.
Do you think is there a market for Andre Drummond, just given it's a big contract? It's a guy that's double-double, 20-20 some nights as well.
Yeah.
But a huge price tag with, $27-some million.
Yeah, well, he's an expiring contract, which makes him valuable. Despite the amount of money he's making this year, that contract comes off the books. The question is, any team that trades for him, would they be able to re-sign him? Now it seems like at this point, perhaps the Cavs, have kind of moved on from Drummond. Extension talks over the offseason went nowhere. Now, again, that's not any inside information. That's just me kind of guessing and putting all this together. When you bring in a 22-year-old center and then you have a 27-year-old center who has an expiring contract, kind of makes you think that they're moving on from the guy with the expiring contract. But sure, there's a market out there. I don't know that a lot of contenders would be interested in Drummond because he plays that kind of style, that throwback big man style that, frankly, the Los Angeles Lakers or the Brooklyn Nets or the Milwaukee Bucks, those teams may not really need that, and they don't want to give up core pieces. When you're talking about potentially moving Drummond, you're talking about a team who would be willing to take him on that's more likely in the middle of the pack when it comes to the playoffs, or at the bottom, maybe a Washington in the East, maybe a Utah in the West. Those kind of teams would certainly, have more of an interest than a contender would. But it's not going to be easy for the Cavs when it comes to deciding what to do with Andre Drummond. Obviously, they really like him. He's helped them win a lot early in the season when he's healthy. And but if you feel like you're just not going to be able to re-sign the guy, then you have no choice but to move him by the trade deadline.
You look at what the Cavs gave up in Dante Exum and a first-round pick and what they got back. It seems like it's the first, Jared Allen looks like a pretty good young center. Did they do okay with what they gave up, what they got back in this trade?
I think it worked out really well for them. The first round pick they gave up was actually one they got from Milwaukee, which is 2022. So, you're assuming if things keep going the way they have for the Bucks, that's going to be toward the end of the first round, if not the very last pick of the first round. The Cavs will still have their own first rounder in 2022. So they probably weren't going to get a player of Jared Allen's caliber. And, I've heard some people say, some insiders, a couple of GMs seeing their comments saying, how did Houston not demand Jared Allen in this trade? How did he end up going to Cleveland? And the Cavs really made out very well with him. So really, if you look at it, let's say they can't re-sign Drummond, the Cavs definitely have their center of the future in Allen. Now, what's going to happen with him and Drummond and JaVale McGee all being here at the same time right now, that's going to be up to JB Bickerstaff. He's going to have to manage those three guys and figure out a way to get them in there.
Last thing I'll ask you, how do you think the Rockets did? You end up, you get rid of Harden, but you get Oladipo back in that deal, which is pretty good. And then you get somewhere there's a fourth grader that's going to be one of these draft picks that they got. They got a boatload of draft picks in this.
Yeah, hopefully they don't draft the fourth grader today for this draft. But, Oladipo was a guy with the Pacers that the Pacers coveted. He seemed to like it there. But, again, here's a guy with an expiring contract, and you don't want to be sitting around wondering all season whether or not Oladipo is going to resign there in Indiana. Houston now, you look at that team, and all of a sudden they replaced Russell Westbrook and James Harden, both of whom were unhappy with John Wall and Victor Oladipo, and both guys seem like they're going to be happy in that situation. Wall has made it pretty clear that he does like it there. So it's a whole new day with the Rockets. Mike D'Antoni, all those three-pointers have gone out the window. They're just starting over, but it's a good restart with Wall and Oladipo. Those are two guys who obviously are all-stars. And I think the Pacers did well too, getting back Karis LeVert, because, I just watched the Pacers last night winning Golden State without Oladipo, who was on the sideline. So Karis LeVert was a very nice player for the Nets and could fit right into that kind of team concept with the Pacers. So, the Rockets had to get rid of Harden. They had no choice, especially after those comments last night when he said he thought it was a bad situation. So they had no choice but to get rid of him. And I think they've done extremely well for themselves, picking up. They still have an all-star backcourt, and now they have two all-stars who actually want to be there. So it's a win-win. It's going to be real interesting, of course, to see what happens with the Brooklyn Nets, with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, and how that's all going to come together if it does.
Oh yeah, that'll be the NBA's drama this year. Sam Amico, 48minutes.com is the website. You can read all things NBA related, including insight on this trade. Sam, appreciate the time. Thank you very much for hopping on and giving us a few minutes.
All right, Dave. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Sam Amico from 48minutes.com. We appreciate the time and the insight as well. Well, now it's time to bring in the D-man, Dennis Manoloff. Dennis, you heard Sam, an NBA insider, if you will. What did you think? How do you think the Cavs did in what they didn't give up a lot, to be honest with you, and Allen's very intriguing.
Oh, I like this deal for Cleveland. I was shocked, actually, that Jared Allen, a.k.a. Bingo Smith Jr., came to Cleveland. We love the afro that Allen has, the Bingo Smith afro. I've always liked Allen from afar. When I looked at the Nets over the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed watching Allen, Joe Harris, our former Cavs sharpshooter, and Spencer Dinwiddie. Those have been my guys on the Nets. And Allen is pretty much a double-double guy, and he's really young. He's fourth year in the league, and he's still 22. This is, I wouldn't say great for Cleveland, but good. I mean, Cleveland made out well to get Jared Allen, in this deal.
The D-man, Dennis Manoloff, and I, we're going to switch our focus now. We're going to start looking at that Browns-Chiefs matchup on Sunday. And some good news is he was at practice finally. Denzel Ward, a guy that the Browns have been missing. And when you talk about Denzel Ward, you're talking about one of the elite cover guys in all of the NFL. These are all bullet points of what the Browns have been missing the last 2 weeks without him. Tied for second in the NFL in passes defended. You see the incompletions. Last 3 seasons, single coverage, he has been the only cornerback in the NFL under 40% completions against him. He's a real good cover guy, and he couldn't be coming back at a better time with what Kansas City is going to throw at him. The question is, how healthy is Denzel Ward?
I think I'll be all right. I mean, I'm going to be doing extra conditioning, working out. just trying to take the next necessary steps to get my wind back, conditioning back. But I think I'll be ready. I'll be all right.
And could you just explain, sitting at home, watching on TV, those last two games against Pittsburgh, the range of emotions that you felt as those games unfolded?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough at first because, I was planning to obviously playing the game. And then, we're going through a pandemic still. So it was just unfortunate to end up getting it and then being out and not being able to help my teammates. But they pulled it through, and it was exciting watching them play, go out there and get the wins.
Denzel Ward talking about being back, trying to get in shape to run up and down the field with Tyreek Hill. Let's bring back in D-Man. D-Man, that's great news for the Browns' defensive side of the ball.
It is, Dave, but I would throw up a few caution flags, and they all pertain to the cardio fitness and the physical fitness in general coming off of COVID, because we remember Miles, he had COVID, and he said, and I don't even know if he's still 100% from his recovery. He talked about having to get breathing treatments and various things like that. I appreciate what Denzel Ward is saying, as I think I'll be all right. I'm doing extra conditioning, but it's a really tough ask to basically crawl out of bed in a matter of days, go to Arrowhead Stadium and try to check the likes of Tyreek Hill. So I would hope the Browns would take some pressure off Ward, with some rotated safeties and whatnot. When it comes to Tyreek Hill, I wouldn't put a ton on Ward's plate because, who knows how he's going to react.
Yeah, they're going to try to monitor that during the week of practice, and Kevin Stefanski was very open, saying we need to pay attention to that and pay extra close attention to it. But, they're getting close to full strength, which you want to, when you get to this point in the season, you want to have everybody available.
There's no doubt, Dave, and it's encouraging. By the way, I'm not trying to pour water on the return of Denzel Ward. Just having him out there, period, is a boost. And you hope that he is as close to 100% as possible. But it does look like the Browns are healthier. We have to keep our fingers and toes crossed because you never know what happens at Lou Groza Boulevard during a pandemic because the last few weeks have been crazy, but if everything goes well, it looks like it'll be a much healthier Browns team that takes the field against the Chiefs than the one that did against the Steelers. And there's no doubt the Browns are going to need it because the Chiefs are a considerable step up in class, particularly the Chiefs offense.
Now, the other thing is it's a matchup of two really good young quarterbacks, two up-and-comers. Patrick Mahomes kind of on the top of that level as the best quarterback. Baker Mayfield kind of climbing up there, doing things well. It's kind of ironic. Both of them know each other, and they say they're looking forward to playing each other this weekend. Let's listen to Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield talking about playing each other.
Yeah, obviously it's cool to get to play against him in such a big game in the playoffs and everything like that. Knowing him for a long time, since I was a senior in high school, and to be able to play on this stage it's going to be special. And he went to Oklahoma, went to Texas Tech, so he got the better of me in college. So I'll try to do my best to win in the NFL.
For starters, you could go into the physical attributes that Pat has. He's got everything you could possibly want. His arm strength is unbelievable, but just the different arm angles, the things he's able to do. I know people talk about, his no-look passes and all that, but to be able to change his arm angle, you can see why he was such an incredible athlete in baseball and basketball as well. He's just able to do things that a lot of quarterbacks can't do. And then I think, he sat out pretty much the whole his rookie year and just took everything in. Patrick's extremely smart, intelligent, picking up that system, and you can just tell. Guys want to play for Patrick, but when he, is on top of his game like he is mentally, that pushes those guys even more.
Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes talking about facing each other. Let's bring in the D-man, Dennis Manoloff. And Dennis, you think about Baker Mayfield, and he's the type of guy that has to love this challenge, facing Mahomes. And they're not playing each other, but quarterbacks have a little bit of ego, and you don't want to let the other one get the better of you.
Sure, and they had that memorable shootout in college when the Bake Show was with Oklahoma and Mahomes was with Texas Tech. Just preposterous numbers that those two guys put up in one of the more memorable games in college football history. So that was a cool little backdrop, to this. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. He has weapons, yes, indeed, but he really makes those weapons hum. And so he deserves all the accolades that he gets. He's a former MVP. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, Baker Mayfield is a good to really good NFL quarterback. He's probably sitting around the top 12, if not the top 10 right now, in terms of a guy you'd want for the next 5 years if you had to win as many games as possible. So I'm looking forward to it. But like you said, Dave, same with pitchers. When two aces go at it, they're not actually pitching against each other. They're pitching against the respective lineups. In this case, both quarterbacks are going against the respective defenses. The key with Baker is he can't try to be Mahomes. He can't try to put up the kind of numbers that Mahomes does. Maybe it'll happen organically, but Mayfield needs to stick to the plan, stick to what Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van and Bill Callahan draw up. And if it means throwing for 215 yards as opposed to 415 yards, then so be it.
D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, and I will be back to talk things over Browns and Chiefs, some bulletin board material we look at from Sammy Watkins. Be sure to be with us on the other side of the break. We'll look at that. More sports and Les Levine. We'll be right back.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. We continue to preview this Browns-Chiefs matchup coming up Sunday. And during the Steelers game, a couple of the Chiefs on social media, tweeting back and forth. Let's take a look at it. Sammy Watkins tweets, "It's kind of like a video game. What the heck's going on? It's weird. I'm pretty speechless. Pretty sure the whole world is shocked because I've never seen anything like this in my life, not in the NFL." That was the Browns going up 28-0 early. "Looks like we got some comp next week, some competition," says one of his teammates. And Watkins says, "I wouldn't go that far, LOL." Let's bring back in the D-man, Dennis Manoloff, and not quite the Browns as the Browns, but still a little bit of disrespect going on there.
It's hard to keep track of the smack being directed at the Browns these days, Dave. You had Juju Smith-Schuster doing his thing with Browns as the Browns, nameless great faces. After the Steelers lost, you had his teammate and fellow wide receiver Chase Claypool on social media bragging about how he was making good plays against one of the Browns' backup DBs who was pressed into service because of all the injuries. Somebody forgot to tell Claypool his team lost. I think the Steelers are probably getting ready to play Buffalo this week. They're in denial that they lost. Then you got Watkins weighing in. I mean, listen, I'm sure the Browns will use it. We know that some of the greats of all time, including Michael Jordan, were famous for, if they didn't find a slight, they invented a slight. So why can't, the Browns, and specifically Baker Mayfield, he always seems to perform better when he's got some axe to grind or some person to point a finger at. I mean, he's still going with the Colin Cowherd, quote-unquote, feud. So I'm all for it. If I'm a Browns fan, and I am, I want to see any smack directed at the Browns because to me, all the pressure is on the Chiefs, just like it was all on the Steelers last week. The Steelers were the division champion. They had started the season 11-0. There's no way they could lose back-to-back games to end the season, and both of them being to Cleveland, but they did. In the case of the Chiefs, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. They're, had an awesome regular season. They have video game offense. They're at home. So I think any chance the Browns have to relax and play it loose, and part of that is looking for smack, then fine, take it.
Yeah, without question. The other thing is Baker Mayfield downplayed it, as you would expect him to. Somebody asked him about it, and he said, look, everybody in the NFL believes they're good. That's part of the deal. But that's what you're supposed to say if you're Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's on everybody's iPad when they walk into the locker room, and they space themselves out per COVID protocol.
Yeah, without question. The other thing is there's a couple of local guys who are with the Chiefs. Frank Clark played his high school football at Glenville, and, of course, Travis Kelce. Kelce, a Cleveland Heights native, grew up as a lifetime Browns fan. In fact, his dad tweeted this to Bernie Kosar, and that's Travis Kelce and his brother, who plays for the Eagles. Jason Kelce is a center. So those are the two Kelce boys in Bernie Kosar jerseys. They look like they're about 6, 8 years old. And Bernie Kosar, Travis, love your choice of childhood uniforms. Kelce makes no bones about it. He's a Clevelander. He loves Cleveland. But he is a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Being from Cleveland and playing the Browns, it's definitely kind of up the ante a little bit. It made it a little bit more personal. I absolutely love Cleveland, but I understand that we are each other's enemies right now. So I got a lot of friends and a lot of family back in Cleveland telling me I'm the enemy, and it's definitely going to be fun going up against the Browns, and it's going to be an exciting game. And to speak on the other point of the points scored, I think that everybody kind of locks in a little bit more and gets excited to play when the playoffs come around, especially in this building, especially 1-5 himself. He does everything he can to be ready for these moments, and it shows every single time he goes out there in the playoffs.
Now he's referencing 1-5. That's Patrick Mahomes, and the question about the offense, they've scored at least 31 points in each and every one of the playoff games that Patrick Mahomes has started. That's impressive.
Oh, there's no question about it. And Travis Kelce, I mean, I think what did he have? 105 receptions this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just bananas. He's always been really good, but this year it seemed like somehow he stepped his game up, which is hard for him to do because he's so good to begin with. But yeah, Kelsey, and I think you heard it. You've heard it so far, Dave Bacon. Travis Kelsey, a lot of respect for Cleveland, of course, and where he's from, and the Browns. Patrick Mahomes the same way. Most of these guys, and I don't even know if Sammy Watkins is dumping all over the Browns per se, even though it can be turned that way. I think overall, though, the Chiefs understand that the Browns can be dangerous. They recognize what the Browns did in Pittsburgh. Not that I don't think Andy Reid needed what happened in Pittsburgh to get his attention, but just in case, the fact that the Browns put up almost 100 on Pittsburgh on the road will have the Chiefs focused and taking the Browns seriously, and vice versa. You've heard Baker talk about Mahomes, and Kevin Stefanski doesn't say anything that remotely resembles junk. So I think both organizations, both franchises, both teams respect each other immensely, but clearly the Browns are trying to get where the Chiefs have already been, which is a Super Bowl champ.
The other thing to keep in mind, in each and every one of their playoff games last year, when they won the Super Bowl, the Chiefs fell behind. And in the first round, they fell behind 24-0 to the Texans before they scored 28 in the second quarter to take the lead at halftime.
Yeah, as great as the Chiefs were in the regular season, it was 14-2, and they gifted the last game because I think Chad Henne started and they lost. They had some puzzling games, some head-scratching games, particularly at home. They were on the ropes against the Carolina Panthers, a team that was not doing much at the time. Had Teddy Bridgewater dinking and dunking all the way. They had a puzzler late in the season at home against Atlanta, 17-14. I was thinking the Chiefs were going to blow the Falcons out of Arrowhead, and somehow it was 17-14. So I don't know. I wouldn't bank on another odd one from the Kansas City Chiefs. If I'm the Browns, in the back of my mind at least, I'm thinking this is going to be a track meet. We're going to have to keep up with points. And obviously that's kind of disrespecting your defense when you say that. But if I'm the Chiefs, I love this matchup. My offense against your defense.
Yeah, without question. And one of the reasons that is because Patrick Mahomes is a very special quarterback. We've said it. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Mahomes started studying all the potential defenses that he could be playing in Week 17. So he studied the Browns. He was very familiar with Cleveland, and in particular, number 95. Listen to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm same way. I've known Miles for a long time, being in high school, and trust me, he was the exact same size in high school as he is now. So I'm glad I didn't play him then. But he's a tremendous player, plays extremely hard, has a ton of talent. And that they have talent across that whole entire defense. And so for us, it's about executing at a high level, getting the ball out of my hands, kind of like I said, letting guys make plays, and we're going to have to play our best football if we want to win a football game at the end of the day.
Patrick Mahomes talking about the Browns defense. Let's bring D-Man back in. D-Man, they certainly sound like they respect the Browns on both sides of the ball, which is they better.
Yeah, and here's the key. One of the keys, if not the biggest key, in my opinion, to this game is going to be how much pressure can the Browns get on Patrick Mahomes with the standard four-man rush. In other words, not blitzing, because the Browns know they are pressed to try to cover the Chiefs and their myriad weapons. I think they're going to probably do the quarters coverage schemes that they were employing against Pittsburgh, obviously hoping to tighten it up a little bit, but still, I don't think you're going to try to blitz Patrick Mahomes a whole lot. You're going to stay home and stay disciplined with your coverages, and that means that the front of the Cleveland Browns, led by Miles, absolutely, positively must get pressure on Mahomes. Even if you do get pressure on Mahomes, there's still no guarantee that you're going to bring him down. And if you flush him, seems like he's 50 times dangerous out in the open field where he can sling it a million miles and run if he wants to. So who knows? But that front four of the Browns has got to do something.
I would agree. And the big thing is don't get beat deep. Don't let them score quickly because it tends to snowball and that gets them pumped up.
And Dave, I think that's it. I think it's going to be a conservative approach. We're going to be sitting there watching it going, oh, it's the prevent defense, it's the prevent defense, it's the prevent defense. But what do you want them to do against Patrick Mahomes and those weapons? You want to go jailbreak blitz so he can just bomb it and score in 20 seconds? Or do you want him to try to dink and dunk you a little bit? So I think it's always fun, Dave, to blitz, and you always think about, oh, yeah, 7 guys coming at him, or let's put 8 guys in the box. But when you're actually out there, I would imagine it's probably more sensible to play it straight up as opposed to just blitz this guy.
Yeah, especially a guy like Mahomes that's such a good athlete. D-Man and I are going to take one more time out. We're going to come back on the other side of things. We'll talk a little Baker Mayfield as he gets ready to face the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to get the Browns to that AFC Conference Championship game. More sports and Les Levine. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Shelley, our garage floor is just awful.
I know. We really need Nature Stone.
Cracks, uneven concrete, it's slippery.
I keep telling you, we need Nature Stone.
Coach, only Nature Stone solves all those problems. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your garage floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Herb, Nature Stone fixed every problem in our garage.
I told you.
It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. The Browns continue to get ready for the Chiefs in the divisional round Sunday afternoon. Baker Mayfield has been outstanding. Last 10, 11 weeks of the regular season and going into last week, Pro Football Focus has ranked him as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The difference has been just an understanding and a comfortability with the offense Kevin Stefanski has put him in.
Yeah, I feel like in the second half of the year, like I told you guys after the bye week, we were able to sit down and kind of go through things and just make sure we were all on the same page. But I'd say it's about everybody being on the same page and just doing their job, and that makes everybody's job easier. You know, you don't try and do too much. You stick within the plan, do the little details right, and stay efficient. So the guys up front and the skill guys around me have made my job extremely easy.
Baker Mayfield has done a really nice job of taking care of the football, hasn't thrown many interceptions at all, did have the game right, a couple fumbles. Let's bring D-Man back in. D-Man, the thing that has been impressive is he has understood what the defenses are trying to do to him, and when he has run, he has hurt defenses running with his legs.
Yes, that's a great point to make. There were plays in both of the Steelers game where Baker Mayfield had to use his legs to get critical yards, and he did so. I surprised probably the Steelers with a little bit of a burst of speed. And, we know he's tough. I mean, that's well established. So he's willing to dive for the extra yard as opposed to slide and give up a yard. But, you look at his overall quarterback play, the decision-making is really good. The arm strength has always been there. The accuracy's been really good. He's been, undone a little bit by some drops, but that's to be expected. Every receiving core is going to drop balls, but he's willing to throw the ball out of bounds instead of trying to, force it into triple coverage. He's being very careful with the football. And yet, I mean, you can be careful with the football and also be so careful that you're detrimental. You can be so conservative that you're not willing to stretch the field. That's not the case with Mayfield. He's taking care of the football, but he's also willing to rip it, 10, 15, 20 yards if necessary. And I'm really impressed with the way Baker Mayfield has played, as you said, especially in the second half of the year.
Well, the other thing is he's going against a Chiefs defense. And Mayfield, they're beat up at linebacker. They're not sure who they're going to have available, who is not going to be available at the linebacking core. But Baker Mayfield talked about Kansas City's defense and what he sees with that.
They're very good at disguising. So there's been a few secondaries that are similar in that way. Now, they play a little bit different coverage, but they disguise extremely well. And then they have some guys up front that make a lot of plays for them. Obviously, you talk about Frank and Jones up front that are just making a ton of plays. So they're similar to some teams that we've played, but they know how to win at this time of the year. So that's the challenge this team represents.
And there you have Baker Mayfield talking about Kansas City Chiefs. D-Man, that's a really good point. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl and won it last year, and they had the bye because they're the top seed in the AFC. So it's a very good team that is used to winning at this time of year.
No doubt. The Browns face a considerable obstacle when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs for so many reasons, including the rest that the Chiefs earned with the number one seed, the fact that they're at home, even in a COVID situation. I don't know exactly what the crowd size is going to be at Arrowhead, if any, but
16,000.
How many?
16,000.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be plenty. I mean, we've heard what the Browns fans can do with lesser numbers, so they'll have to face, that noise, and just being on the road is difficult. But I mean, shoot, why the heck not? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's either you go to Kansas City or you go to Buffalo, in terms of two teams that are waiting for their respective opponents. Now the Ravens get to go to Baltimore, or get to go to Buffalo. So both of the top two seeds are good for a reason. You expect them to be. But listen, the one place where I believe the Browns can feel comfortable is with their offense against the Chiefs defense, specifically the ability to hold on to the ball and get first downs and methodically work the ball down the field. You have to do that to help out your defense against the high-powered offense of the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's come to the time. Let's discuss how we think this will play out. And it's important to note the Chiefs could very well have to play some sub packages because they like to play three linebackers. Willie Gay, one of their rookie linebackers, did not practice. Sammy Watkins did not practice. So the Chiefs they're banged up.
Sammy, what's the deal, man? I mean, you got to play, bud. You got to. It's like Kaderil Hodge talking junk about the Tennessee Titans. The one time this year that I can recall where a Cleveland Browns player talked smack at an opponent, I'm sure he was hauled into principles. And then Kaderil Hodge has a hamstring and can't play that week. Wasn't his fault, but listen, Sammy, if you're going to do that, you got to play.
Yeah, without question. I agree wholeheartedly. There are some things that the Browns can potentially take advantage of. If they're going to win this, though, you're not going to hold Kansas City down. You're going to have to outscore them. That's just as simple. So that means touchdowns in the red zone and try to find a way to win that turnover battle.
And the other thing too, Dave, that's a little disheartening is all you have to do is look at Patrick Mahomes' resume and his history, his brief history in the league. The guy comes back from deficits in the blink of an eye. I mean, last year, what was was it some ridiculous halftime deficit that the Texans had over the Chiefs? And the Chiefs just, no big deal. We'll come back. So they're more than capable of roaring back, so you can never get comfortable against them.
No, but that comes back to your thing that the Browns have to hang out of the ball and score touchdowns. Field goals, if the defense can force field goals, that's even that much better. But good luck facing that offense and making them kick field goals.
Yeah, and I think, Dave, I was speaking of Texans from 2 years prior. Last year it was Chiefs-Titans, right? Because the Titans got all the way to the AFC Championship game. But bottom line is the Chiefs know how to come back. They can play with the lead. They can play from behind. That's why I don't have a good feeling about this game. But honestly, Dave, I didn't have a good feeling about Browns going into Pittsburgh, and they surprised me. So why can't they surprise me again?
I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and I think they're going to have a shot. It's going to come down to who gets a key stop, who forces a field goal, who gets a big turnover. Last thought, D-Man, who is a key? If you were going to say this guy plays well, good thing for the Browns, who would that be?
All right, beyond the obvious, the quarterbacks, and certainly, I was talking about Mayfield and Mahomes, but specifically the Browns. Beyond Mayfield, beyond Chubb, I'm looking at somebody on the receiving core has got to help out Jarvis. And I'm not even counting on a tight end to have Boku numbers, even though the Browns tight ends are capable. I'm looking for a Donovan Peoples-Jones or a Hollywood Higgins to have a big game in support of Jarvis Landry. Because, I figure I'm going to get a good game out of Baker. I figure I'm going to get a good game out of Chubb. But I need more than that. And that's where I'm looking at. And I figure I'll get a good game out of Jarvis. But I also think the Chiefs saw what Jarvis did against the Steelers. Like, we're not going to let this guy run free in the middle of the field. Somebody else in that receiving core has got to step up.
D-Man, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. I'm sure we will be talking about this one next week. Browns and Chiefs, Sunday in Arrowhead. 16,000 allowed to watch this one. D-Man, as always, appreciate the time and the insight.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Time for us to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we head to Kansas City to get some insight on the Chiefs. It'll be Matt Derrick, beat reporter for the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. Straight ahead when more sports and Les Levine returns. Stay with us.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
More sports and Les Levine continues. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. We're going to continue to talk Browns-Chiefs as they get ready for that divisional playoff game Sunday. We're going to flip sides of the ball and bring in the Chiefs as Chiefs Digest beat reporter Matt Derrick joins us. Matt, appreciate the time very much, Browns fans. It's ChiefsDigest.com if you want some more information about the opponent for the Browns in this divisional playoff game. Matt, when we look at this, a lot of rest for Patrick Mahomes and some of the keys in this game. Didn't play Week 17, had the bye week. Does that concern any Chiefs fans, players, front office types that you might be a little rusty coming out in this game with a 2-week layoff?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are in a position where they're willing to trade any sense of rust that they might have for the rest that they needed. They had a lot of guys who were banged up after a long season, starting with Patrick Mahomes. He took a lot of hits late in the year, especially a couple of weeks before in that game against the New Orleans Saints. So they really need to rest up. They had a couple of key injuries, especially at the linebacker position. They were missing Anthony Hitchens. Ben Neiman, who's another starter, has a hamstring injury. Willie Gay is a promising rookie with an ankle. They were pressed to be putting in a defensive lineman to play linebacker in Week 17. That's how stressed they were at that spot. They also need to get rest for Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. Both those guys, have been nursing some injuries of late. So the Chiefs are willing to really trade off that period of time where they've got really 2 weeks completely off. They're hoping to come back refreshed, and they really don't feel like that it's going to cost them that much. They feel like this offense can pick up right where it left off. It'll be interesting. They're certainly wanting to get off to a faster start than they did in last year's playoff games. But we'll see. I mean, you're right. I mean, certainly a couple of weeks away could disrupt the timing of that offense that completely depends on precision.
What about the health? Heard Andy Reid earlier in the week just saying it looks like everybody's getting healthy. Do they expect to be close to full strength for this one?
It certainly looks like it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who missed a couple of games with an ankle injury in the backfield, looks like he will be back. Just like I said, Tyreek Hill should be back to full strength. They're hoping Sammy Watkins will be as well, getting a couple of those guys back at the linebacker position and a couple of other just dings that they've had along the way. But that linebacker spot is really going to be the concern because Ben Neiman's a guy who not a big name, but he's been a really key role player for the Chiefs down the stretch. And without him, and with Willie Gay likely out for this game, really leaves the Chiefs with just Anthony Hitchens and Damian Wilson as their linebackers. So it's going to be really difficult, I think, for the Chiefs to be able to play a lot of their traditional 4-3 fronts. You're going to see probably a lot of sub packages, and that probably plays in a little bit to what they want to do defensively against the Browns anyway. But it could certainly be a little bit of a problem in the ground game because if they don't have those guys in the middle of the field patrolling it, they're going to have to start depending on their safeties and playing a little bit more of Tyrann Mathieu and Dan Sorensen in the box.
You touched on it a little bit. Last year got off to a rough start against Texans, fell behind 24-0, but then scored 28 in the second quarter. Is that a concern? Do you think that's a continual coaching point for Andy Reid? Guys, we don't want to do that again.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. They want to get off to faster starts, and that was really an issue all of 2019. I mean, they had some slower starts that they're just not accustomed to with this offense. The postseason, all 3 games, they fell down behind by double digits and were able to come back. So on one side, this team has complete confidence that if they were to fall behind in another deficit like Cleveland put Pittsburgh in the other night, they absolutely believe that they can come back from that. But they don't want to. They want to go out and set the tone early. And it's going to be key to Mahomes to doing that. Sometimes Mahomes has been known to come out in big games a little bit overkeyed and a little bit overhyped, and I think that overheated. And I think that's a little bit of why they have gotten off to some slow starts offensively. How quickly he kind of settles in and gets into a rhythm, going to go a long way to seeing how the Chiefs really get going in this game.
When you look at that Chiefs offense, what do you see that you get a sense, boy, they're clicking and it's going to be a good game when you're looking at that Chiefs offense?
Yeah, if you see Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce getting into the flow of the game early, don't see any drops, see this team come out and do one of their patented drives where they come down the field, drive 75 yards, and they can do it different ways. And I think that's the key, is even though the Chiefs want to get off to a fast start, they don't necessarily feel the need to get off to a quick start. This is a team that can come out and certainly go 75 yards in 5 plays in 2 minutes. But increasingly, they want to be able to give their defense some rest. And I think that's certainly going to be a key against the Browns, since they're going to be up against a punishing test through both Baker Mayfield and that running back combo. They want to hold on to the football. So I certainly think that the Chiefs would be fine coming out and running some 4-6 minute drives, plodding down the field. They can do that. I mean, as high-powered as this offense is, they've proven that they can play at different speeds. And I think that's the key. They want to get off to a fast start. It doesn't have to be quick, but they want to be able to hold on to the football. And I think in this game in particular, I think it's going to be really key. I think they would like to win time of possession to make sure that they're keeping that Browns defense on the field and keeping the Browns offense off the field.
And when you talk about time of possession with the Chiefs, it's usually the short passing game that almost like the extended handoffs that get their fast, skilled position or big bruising guys like Kelce in one-on-one situations. Is that accurate to say that's what they like to do?
Yeah, it is certainly what they like to do. Absolutely, Patrick Mahomes is going to take deep shots. But a big part of it is just set up through the short passing game. And you're right, a lot of that is, an extension of their run game. Andy Reid always loves to get the screen game involved. He's obviously added, the jet sweeps and the push passes, the shovel passes. He'll do a lot of different things to get his wide receivers and tight ends the ball in space to let them make plays. But one thing this season in particular is that teams, it'll be interesting to see how the Browns approach it. Teams have been coming out and really only bringing 3 or 4, trying to keep Mahomes in the pocket and rush them with just 3 or 4 guys, but dropping 7 to 8 back so that they can take away the deep end of the field, force Mahomes to take those short passes. And that's where the quick outs, the Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce being able to find space in the middle, even a healthy Sammy Watkins is really key because he can really do some of the dirty work underneath that they need. That's what the Chiefs had to do to beat some of these coverages that they've been seeing. It'll be really interesting to see how the Browns decide to attack that offense, because if they do that, if they really go light on going after the passer and drop 7 or 8 back, that's really putting it on Mahomes to take advantage of that short passing game and takes away that deep ball that he loves.
The thing is it almost seems to me like, and I've seen a fair amount of the Chiefs in their national games, it seems like when they hit big plays, it's almost like a basketball mentality. The chunk plays just seem to snowball, and they just get into a rhythm, and it seems like they get one and they want another, and everybody wants to get involved. Have you seen that? Because I know you follow them game in, game out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely part of their MO. And, it starts with a guy like Tyreek Hill, who, I think, the cross-sports metaphor is good because Andy Reid's always liked to call Tyreek Hill, who said he would be a great center fielder. His ability to track deep balls is just uncanny. It's something you can't teach. It's just innate. He has it. And you've seen the other guys be able to get involved too. Mecole Hardman's got ridiculous speed, so he can get behind defenders. And sometimes the Chiefs will miss combinations on that one. He's not as good as a ball tracker as Hill is, but he's got the speed to be able to get open. And when you have to give so much attention to Travis Kelce underneath, that's going to lead to some deep balls. And Patrick Mahomes, one of his real specialties is, being able to identify the free play. He's had really good, time this year, being able to get defenses to jump off sides, get the flag, and then take his shot deep. And that's something you just absolutely have to watch for. You can't jump off sides against Mahomes. And if you do, you've got to know that he is going to take that deep shot.
He's done a really nice job for a younger quarterback at taking care of the ball, especially earlier in the year. I think the last couple of games, weeks 15 and 16, he might have had a couple of interceptions. Before that, it was like 1 or 2 all year. How good has he been at taking care of the ball? Because this Browns defense needs to turn the ball over, really, to be successful. They're not really built to shut a team down.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been remarkable how he has been able to avoid the turnovers for the most part, most of his career. I mean, I think he had 12 interceptions as a rookie, and it just continued to go down since then. Certainly a part of it is just that, he has great recognition ability. I mean, he can seem to find what receiver is going to be the guy in single coverage and make the read pre-snap and go that direction. He's also got a great ability to be able to look off receivers. I mean, you've seen the no-look passes. When you get those kinds of things that he can do, it makes it really difficult for defenders to key on where the ball is going and be able to jump routes. Now, he's going to be known to put the ball into tight windows. So that's where you got to try and take advantage of it, is that when he does try and shove the ball into a spot where it's tight, you got to be able to make that play. The one thing that stands out to me, for instance, from what the Steelers and the Browns game, is that it's going to be difficult to knock the ball down at the line of scrimmage. Mahomes is not afraid to get out of the pocket. I think the Chiefs will do some of those kind of things that move him around to get him outside, so he'll have a little bit more of a free passing lane. When he's got that and he gets in rhythm with his receivers, it's really tough to get the ball away from Mahomes.
Matt Derrick, Chiefs beat reporter for ChiefsDigest.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. So when Matt and I return, we're going to flip sides of the ball, talk about the Browns offense and the Chiefs defense. More sports, and Les Levine will be right back. Stay with us.
Shelly, we really need to get Nature Stone in our basement.
I know, Herb, and it would look great in our laundry room, too.
Coach, only Nature Stone is perfect for your basement and laundry room because it never needs replaced like damp carpet and moldy tile. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your basement or laundry room floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Shelly, Nature Stone is perfect for our laundry room and basement.
I told you.
It's not just the floor. Wow,
it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
More sports and Les Levine continues. Dave Bacon filling in. We continue to talk Chiefs with Matt Derrick. He is the beat reporter for the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. Head there, Browns fans, if you want to see any information about the team the Browns will face for a spot in the conference final. Matt, again, let's flip sides of the ball. When you look at this Browns offense, the run game has been very good. They're throwing the ball more later in the year with Baker Mayfield. How big of a concern is it with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge challenge. I mean, Chubb can just do so many different things. He can do the power game. He's got some speed. You've seen that. That's going to be a key, especially because, we talked about the injuries that the Chiefs have on the defensive side. They're probably going to have to go some lighter boxes as far as just weight goes, with some safeties instead of linebackers. So that's going to be tough. But, the guy that I think the Chiefs are probably just as concerned about is Kareem Hunt. They know Kareem Hunt clearly from his time in Kansas City. They know what he can do. They respect him. And, he can be a threat anywhere in the field. I mean, you saw that in the short yardage situations against the Steelers. He can be a punishing back. And they know that this is going to be an emotional game. I mean, this is a game that's going to be very personal for Kareem Hunt. He wants to come in and make a statement. And the Chiefs are going to have to be ready for that. They've been playing better against the run. They've had some young guys stepping up. Chris Jones, the interior and the defensive line is, having an all-pro caliber season. So it's going to be really at the point of attack that they've got to be able to slow down that run game, because if Chubb and Hunt can get to the second level, there's going to be some matchups there that they can win, and they might be able to break some big runs.
Yeah, if you were going to tell me these are some guys that need to have pretty good games for the Chiefs defense, who would you say would be keys to helping the Chiefs at least slow down that running attack a little bit?
Yeah, for me, it really starts up the middle. I mean, they're going to need Chris Jones. Mike Pennell is really one of their run specialists at the tackle spot. Tershawn Wharton's a rookie that a lot of people don't know about, but he's been really coming up. Derek Nottie, all those four guys that are going to be inside in the interior have got to have good games. Anthony Hitchens at the linebacker spot needs to be healthy. And Dan Sorensen, a safety who's going to play in the box too. It's that up the middle group to me that's going to be able to have the big games. Certainly, they're going to have to rely on the pass rush to be able to put a little pressure on Mayfield, set the edge. But to me, this game's going to be won in the middle of the field and at the line of scrimmage. If the Browns can dictate terms there and get some space for Chubb and the Hunt, I think it could be a rough day for the Chiefs defense.
When you look at this Chiefs defense, what have been some of the challenges? When what goes wrong, are the Chiefs relying on that offense to outscore the other team?
Yeah, what really goes wrong is when they haven't been able to get a pass rush. Frank Clark and Chris Jones, inside and out, that's a tough duo. And when they are on their game, they're getting pressure, they're getting hits, they're getting sacks. It's a tough day for offenses. But they haven't always been able to get there. They've been generating some pressures, but they've had stretches where they've gone, without getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback from just getting them on the ground and picking up sacks and negative plays. One or two a game is really all they need. I mean, especially if they can come into key situations. We've seen that where they've been able to pick up sacks that either create long third downs or even on third down itself. They're going to bring some blitzes. They've had to do some things creatively at times to get that pass rush. The key is that if the Chiefs don't get to the quarterback, their secondary has some spots where they can be rough at times. Tyrann Mathieu, the leader of that secondary, and they're going to line him up in a lot of different places. But he can't be everywhere. And, that's where you've got to avoid maybe throwing the ball, because he can be the turnover guy in that backfield. But with Travaris Ward, Bashaud Breeland, L'Jarius Sneed at the corner spot, they've all had pretty good seasons, but they're much better players, obviously, when Jones and Frank Clark are getting pressure. If they don't, then there are going to be open receivers, because the Chiefs just can't cover that long.
Before I let you go, how do you see this one unfolding? What do you think this game unfolds like? And I won't necessarily ask you for a prediction, but how do you think this game plays out?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. I think both teams can move up and down the field with the ball. Turnovers might end up being the real key to this. Whichever team can protect it the most. But if you told me this game was going to end up in the 30s, I would not be surprised, and it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if, one or both teams break 40. I mean, I think this could be the kind of game both sides run up and down the field. I think it's going to be relatively close. We'll see what the final score, but I think the Chiefs will eventually prevail, because I think right now they're the best team in the NFL, and I think you got to believe that until somebody knocks them off the crown. Yeah,
I think just in looking at it, the Browns are, I think it's now 11-0 when they win the turnover battle. So I think that will be a key. Do you think the Chiefs are at all surprised? And again, I lied. I got one more for you. Do you think are the Chiefs surprised it's the Browns that they're facing in this round of the playoffs?
I don't know about that. I think that fans might be kind of surprised a little bit, and this might be the matchup that they were looking for, because the Chiefs have had trouble with some of the other teams that they could have faced. I mean, the Ravens have given them some fights. They had a good battle with Buffalo earlier this season. They can see down the road, but the Titans have beaten them. The Colts have beaten them at an Arrowhead. So I think there's probably an inclination from Chiefs fans that they would rather have seen the Browns, but I think right now the Browns they're certainly, to me, I thought one of the 4 best teams in the AFC. I mean, they've been playing well down the stretch. They've been scoring a lot of points. Throw out that Jets game. I mean, I don't think that one really matters that much and counts, with everything that they had going on. I think the second half of the season, the Browns have established themselves as one of the 4 best teams, and I think it's going to be a fight.
Matt Derrick, beat reporter for the Chiefs on ChiefsDigest.com. Browns fans, head there for any information you want on the Kansas City Chiefs as they get ready to kick it off against the Browns in the divisional round on Sunday afternoon. Matt, thanks very much for the time. Appreciate that. Great insight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
That is Matt Derrick, Chiefs beat reporter for ChiefsDigest.com. That's all we have time for on this edition of More Sports and Less Levine. Tune in tomorrow night. Dan Lobby, Browns beat reporter, and Cleveland State head basketball coach Dennis Gates will join us. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow night on More Sports and Less Levine.